I'm sometimes asked whether astrology is a spiritual practice. And I have to say, well, yes, it can be. If you're a spiritual person, then that's probably one of the things that you'll do with it is to try to reach a higher, heightened state of awakening using astrological symbolism. And it's very useful for that. But there are other people that don't have that intention when they're using the concepts of astrology. They use it for psychological purposes or divination or whatever. So whether or not astrology is spiritual is just up to the astrologer and of course the client. If the client has the intention of using this particular profound analysis of self as a way to become more self-aware, therefore more God aware, therefore more spiritual, if that's their intention, then it's very likely to come to pass. But if their intention is different from that, then it's very likely not to come to pass. So, as much as it is in the hands of the astrologer, it's also in the hands of the client to some extent. It depends. It all depends. And if we do take it as a spiritual tool, then it's very rich and all encompassing. The outer planets, for example, cover heightened awareness. Very few people can embody Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, or even Chiron with the kind of degree of innocence, purity, and power necessary for it to be useful as a tool rather than to use them as a tool. And that's what we have to consider when we're dancing with the gods. The gods have an agenda, and these planets, they're gods in any sense of the word that the old astrologers meant. They're gods, they're archetypes, they're facets of unity, more powerful than we are. And they have their purposes. They are conscious, self aware beings, I am taught in Sufism. And so that seems to be a good way to look at these planets. So they can use you as much as you can use them. And in actual fact, most astrologers and most astrology is taught as though that is the case, as though planets act through us, whether we like it or not. Now, that's not spiritual. If you're a truly spiritual person, then you claim the authority of the moment, you claim the responsibility to do what's necessary in the moment. And you can't blame a planet for making you do something. It is not spiritual to do that. However, the heightened level of spirituality that we can attain must surely embrace being able to employ the outer planets for your purposes, or at least not let them overwhelm you with theirs. And if you get to that level, then you can go further, you can become more subtle. And some of the other bodies that we study, like, for example, the fixed stars and the asteroids to some extent, they've all got their own more subtle mysteries, and they can operate through us or from us. It depends on your level of consciousness. The more and more you study astrology and study yourself through astrology, the more and more likely it is that you can operate these transits of the planets to your advantage. So if Mercury's retrograde, there's a very popular one to study. Certain things you would prefer to do and certain things you would not do. It would be a good time to go over your thinking, check things, do bookkeeping, looking at the past. Mercury retrograde is going to give its attention to the past rather more. If you're planning a holiday, Mercury direct might be more suitable. For example, that's a very simplified version, but you can start to operate your life within the understandings that you've gained from what energies these planets symbolize within you. And that's a very useful way forward so that you're not just living casually with no awareness of what's going on. You focus your awareness of what's going on through astrology at the very least. So if if you know you're going through a Pluto transit and somebody with a Pluto manner comes up to you, a lawyer and a policeman or a gangster, or so one situation like that, you think, okay, that's Pluto embodied, or Neptune might be a drug dealer or a photographer. You've got these clues, and that's your Neptune transit or your Pluto transit embodied within this particular person. So then you would know that this is an opportunity or a danger, whichever you choose it to be. And therefore you can actually align your spirituality with the planets very easily. So in short, whether astrology is spiritual or not depends upon the users, of course.